What's up, guys? We are back, and we're going to pretend we're commissioner of RLCS, and I'm going to make the RLCS 2025 that I always dreamed of. And there's a few caveats here. I'm going to go over what I think we could do to make things better. I'm not going to tweak formats incredibly. It's more about scheduling and more about how the formats are played out, just to keep it more in a realistic way that I could see this RLCS 2025 actually happening. All right? And let me know if you don't like things, because I would love to hear the public opinion on this. Because, like, there are times I'm in my own bubble and, you know, I'm just a theory craft and stuff. I would love to hear from pros, too, but pros probably don't watch my YouTube. So, yeah. So let's just get right into it. It's a PowerPoint slideshow, so here we go. Let's do it. My favorite. My dream RLCS 2025. All right? Here we go. Break it down. First, format changes. We bring back the old. We get rid of the new. We go back to a 16-team Swiss to open the season, an invitational of the top seeds. I don't mind it being a formulaic seeding. That's perfectly fine. Obviously, that formula has to be like a good formula. Has to be crafted slightly better than where it is right now. But I don't mind that. Do that. Top 16, like invitational Swiss. Top 8, they go to a main event. Bottom 8 go back to the closed qualifier. We're bringing back the closed qualifier. Anyway, same time. Open qualifier. Double elim down to 8 teams. I would do this on the weekend, which we'll get to in a bit. Closed qualifiers. You do what we used to do. It's a Swiss again. Top 8 go to the main event. So that would be the bottom 8 from the invitational. Top 8 from the open qualifier. And you play that out. For future qualifiers, top 8 in points, direct invite to main event. And that has a little bit of an asterisk on it, which we'll get to in a bit. 9 through 16 to closed, everyone else to open. So 9 through 16 don't have to play in the open at all. They're already into the Swiss to see if they'll make it back in. And we move on. Now, here's where the scheduling gets a little different. So we'll just continue. We'll have first team protections. So I want to clarify on this a little bit with my asterisks. It would actually be top 4 from the previous event, and I'll explain why in a little bit. And the next top 4 in overall points. Generally speaking, that'll be the top 8 in points almost always, but I wanted to leave this as a small caveat. So, top 8 in points generally, but if you made top 4 in the last regional event, you then will go direct to the main event, even if you don't have the points. And then it would be 9 through 16 in points. In closed qualifiers, it could be like an 8th in points if one of those top 4, you know, was moving up. But they go to the closed qualifiers. Team protections are back, right? We absolutely need them. I think they're very good. There's no reason to have the really good teams playing in the open part of the tournament. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. We need team protections so orgs want to be here. We also need team protections because it's like randomness like is a thing in Rocket League, and sure, maybe you don't have to protect them from that, but I think they earned it. So that's what I would do. Also, for burnout purposes, I think that this is a good idea because you worry about like RLCS players playing constantly all the time. They still will have to play a lot, and I am more on the side of make them play like it is their job, but to a certain extent. So let's get into it. Now, this is where things go crazy, right? And I'll explain why I want to do it this way. We're going to keep the same format. You know, Swiss, I love Swiss, whatever. Like, if you want to tweak the main event format, sure. That's a different topic. I'm not really too concerned with that, but that's a possibility. But for now, we're going to pretend like it's the same format for the main event so we don't overcomplicate this. And sorry if I block some of the words. We'll try and move out of the way. We continue with 2 splits. I don't mind 2 splits. It's fine. 3 regionals per split, so that is normal. But we make it a month-long regional. And I'll explain why in a bit. Week 1, you do the open double elim. You can also do the invitational on that same weekend. It doesn't matter. It's not the same teams. Just do it up. Week 2, close quals. Week 3, you do top 16 Swiss. Week 4, quarterfinals. Week 5, top 4 finish. So I know T-Bates loves his league play, and I know some people want league play back. Personally, I don't like league play. There's a lot of meaningless games. I prefer tournaments. But I think what you can do to satisfy a bit of that league play audience is you divide the tournament up into weeks. Because right now, you cannot have extensive conversation about matchups at all, right? The only matchups that you know are round 1 in Swiss going into Friday's stream. Outside of that, you don't know who's going to play who. Then they play each other so incredibly quickly that it's over. Then you can only recap the entire tournament, right? So it leads to not a lot of conversation about specific matches, about like analytical content, because there's just no time to do it. You can kind of talk about why is Team A so good, but you really can't talk about why Team A will beat Team B. You just, like, it's harder to do. So, what this will do is, say you do your top 16 in Swiss week 3. Like, obviously, that is going to be chaotic, right? But, say, for instance, you would do, like, Mina on Fridays, OC probably Friday nights. Saturday would be, like, NA. So, OC would be Saturday for them, but it would be Friday night. But you pick one day for each of these regions. Very similar to what we used to do in the RLCS, where we did Saturday was NA day for league play. Then Europe was the following day. You just pick one day of the weekend for that region to play. So you do all of Swiss, and obviously that is chaotic. There's a lot of matchups. You can't really have time to analyze that too much. But now you have a week off from Saturday to Saturday, and I'll speak in NA terms just to make it easier. But from Saturday to Saturday, you now know the 4 quarterfinal matches. Now First Touch can sit there and analyze or predict who they think is going to win these quarterfinal matches, very much like a league play where you know your match a week in advance and people can talk about it, get hyped for specific matches. And it would be every... So, like, it'd be Sam would also have their quarterfinals, Europe, like, everyone would have their same quarterfinal matches. So, everyone has a chance that week to analyze and predict and all of that, and even recap Swiss as well. But there's so much more conversation going on for an entire week. Then you just play quarterfinals, very much like a league play day, where you have 4 matches, very high-profile matches. Then you take another week off. Then you go down to the top 4 finish for your last day of play. Again, analyze the quarterfinal matches, analyze those top 4 teams left. You can have more conversations about them. When a big underdog makes a top 4, right now, they just get smacked around in the top 4, and then everyone's like, whatever. They made a top 4, but there was no conversation about them because it's already over. We're talking about G2 again because they won or whatever. Like, maybe a little bit of conversation about them, but not a lot. But if they made a top 4 and they have a week now, then you can get tons of analytical content on, like, how did these underdogs make it here? Let's break down their quarterfinal matchup. Let's break this all down, right? Do they have a shot? Do they not? A lot more conversation pieces. Right now, you have about 8 hours to be like, oh, wow, I can't believe that team made top 4, and then they're out of the tournament, right? And then it's over, and then there's no more conversation about it. So if you just break it up a little bit, a lot more conversation around everything, which I think will be great. One less caveat here is week 1 for Regional 2 is the same weekend as the top 4. So the open part of the bracket will play while top 4 plays. That doesn't have to be at the same time necessarily, but that weekend, right? And the open, the one thing I would love is if we just go to weekend play. Maybe a Friday night if you absolutely need it because there's tons of teams. But a lot of these kids are in school and they have other activities. So if you keep it to the weekend, I think it's better. One, they'll always have one weekend day free outside of when you play in the open part of the tournament. You probably have to play on both days, right, to make it to your close quals. But when you do close quals, it's also just one day, right? You just do it all. So you get some of your weekend time back. And you don't have to play on school days, right? Obviously, there's scrims and all that, so they're obviously practicing. But I think that would help somewhat. So now let's talk about the calendar of events. Because it's like, well, how does this fit into a calendar? Well, right now, the one thing I do not like is that, like, most players that if you don't make a World Championship or Major 2, you're just done super early. You only played for, like, 4 months, not even. And then, like, that's it. then for the rest of the year, you have nothing to play for outside of maybe an off-season tournament. But at the same time, if all the good teams go, then like you don't have a lot to play for, right? So the thing that's great about this is it's a 13-week regional split. So basically 3 months. And then we do the major, which is about a month, and then we do it again, right? So let's go into that here a bit. So basically, we would begin early January, be like second weekend of January, so around the 10th or so, based on however that goes. And then split one would regionally end about first weekend in April. Moving on, major schedule. So we do 2 majors, like we talked about before. Our first major is late April. Like if we end early April, then you go to late April. About 2-week buffer before the major and a 2-week buffer after. So basically 5 weeks. So you do that. That's 5 total weeks between split 1 and split 2 regionals. Split 2 would begin mid-May. Then you run the same 13-week regional schedule. 13 weeks regional schedule. Whatever. Then you do the next major, be late August, like ish. And then Worlds can be anytime before mid-November. Because you don't want to start hitting those holidays, right? Thanksgiving and then Christmas and all that stuff, right? So you want to hit it before that. What that does is, like, obviously that's a big gap, right? Like late August to mid-November, you got 2.5 months. So the reason for that gap, and I'm not saying that you need Worlds to be in mid-November, but it allows some space in case there's a chance for third-party events. So if like a DreamHack wants to hold an event in like March, you give everyone off that week and you spread that 13-week regional thing like out. It's like a bit more, right? You could even give like, oh, we're not going to begin regional 2 of split 1 until that DreamHack is over. So it's like a 3-week break, right? Wouldn't happen often, but that allows some time, some room, that 2.5 months to like a little bit of wiggle room. You probably have about 6 weeks of delays that you could have like in a season for this to still work. And I think like every time there's a LAN, there would probably be like a 2-week break, right? But as of right now, I don't think there's going to be a ton of third-party events, but, you know, that is what it is. But that's what you could possibly do. So the great thing is, Split 2 begins mid-May. That's 13 weeks. That's 3 more months. June, July, August. Players are playing 8 months out of the year at the very least, even if they don't make it to the major. So that allows them to have more of a chance for orgs to want to pick them up for the entire year, or at least have a longer contract, right? Then orgs are more in conversations. And again, there's more conversation every single week about certain teams, but it also gives breaks. So I want to go back to this screen right here. So we talk about, well, if they can play weekly, that's a long grind, right? Well, not everyone is playing weekly. Everyone has tons of breaks like in this format. So if you look here, if you're a top 8 team outside of the Invitational, which obviously like at the beginning of the year, you're going to play a little bit more. But outside of that, you play weeks 3 and 4 and 5. So you play weeks 3, 4, and 5. Then you have a week off because you don't play in the open, but that would be during week 5. But you don't play in closed either. So that is why if you finish top 4, I want you to have a bye directly into the next main event, so you get that week off. So you play 3 weeks, you have 1 week off. You play 3 weeks, you have 1 week off. And that's for top 4 teams. If you're a top 8 team, you play weeks 3 and 4, you have a week off. Or 2 weeks off. Because you don't play in top 4, you don't play in close quals. So you play 2 weeks on, you play 2 weeks off. And obviously that'll change based on like if you have a top 4 once in a while. If you're a top 16 team, that's where like occasionally you'll play in a quarterfinal, but you'll play weeks 2, 3, and occasionally 4. But then you will not play in week 5. So you have at least 1 week off. A lot of times you'll have 2 weeks off. You'll have 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off. If you're just an open player, you're going to play 1 week. I mean, it just is what it is, right? You might play 2 because if you make it to close quals, you're still doing 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off. So a lot of players on most teams from rank 5 to 24 will be playing normally 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off, an occasional third week here or there. If you're a top 4 team, you're playing 3 weeks on, 1 week off. But you're also getting paid a lot more too, right? So it's just like is what it is, right? So I think that'll help a lot with that viewer fatigue, or not viewer fatigue, but player fatigue. And for viewer fatigue, if they're like, I don't want to sit here all weekend long and watching a tournament, I want to catch it when I can, but also then I want to digest it. I want to digest that quarterfinal match. Right now, there's no time. You play your quarterfinals, you have like 5 more hours, then you go to sleep, you wake up, and we're doing it again, right? So it's like there's not any time to digest matches. There's not time to get more of that analytical content out. There's not time for people to learn about Rocket League right now because of that. So I think all these changes would definitely help. I think that was my last slide, but I'm going to check on my own here. But let me know what you guys think, because like, I think that this is a way for players to have contracts longer with orgs, for orgs to be in the conversation longer, for orgs to have weekly conversations as well, and they could have weekly talk shows about their own team. Because right now, I think the one thing lacking is there's not a lot of time to conversate. It's about these matches, and I think that goes back to T-Bates and his league play idea. And again, I'm not a huge fan of league play because of meaningless matches and all of that. But I like the idea of you're getting hyped for this matchup. You're going to have G2 Gen G semifinal 1. It's in a week from now. We know it. Everyone's going to break down that game and give you predictions and all of that. Do interviews with players. You can do a lot more content for the actual RLCS show. Because, like, all right, I'm going to go interview Justin because he's about to play Energy in the quarterfinals. What does that mean to you, right? We have a week to record that and have it out for content for the next pre-show. Right now, like, honestly, guys, like, I write a lot of the pre-shows for NA. Really can't do a whole lot, right? Because you have to react on what just happened, and then you have to move on, right? You just have to keep going. But there's no time to get any players or anything like that because obviously they're still playing, right? So it's very difficult. But I think there's a lot of those issues could be solved with the scheduling just broken out a bit. I don't think we have to rush like everything to make every tournament done in one weekend. Maybe I'm an outlier, but let me know in the comments below what you guys think and what you guys think about the formats in general. Pretty much anything RLCS related. Like, I think most would agree that I think we need back the invitational top 8s, 9 through 16 to close qualifiers. But let me know what you think about the weekly schedule. So I think it could really benefit Rocket League as a whole. So thank you guys for watching. That'll do it for me on this recap video. I promise there won't be too many more format videos. But for those that watch them, I appreciate you. We're one and the same. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.